Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. On this episode, we have special guest Annie Bosko. Annie is a Croatian American singer and country music star. From appearing on American Idol, she now has millions of listens on Spotify, plays in big concerts and festivals, and has performed with legends like Andrea Bocelli, Adele, and Oliver. In this episode, we're going to learn a little about her heritage and some of the best moments of her career. Annie, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Wow, what a great intro. I have to say, that was much better than a lot of the shows that I play. That intro was spot on.
Oh, really? Well, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad it was worth it. I never met you, but I saw you perform, I don't know how long ago, maybe 5, 7 years ago at one of the Croatian picnics in Los Angeles. And you were singing, you would sing both the national anthems, the Croatian and the American. And then I think
Yeah,
you might have performed a few songs as well, but I
like,
can't remember what year that was.
that's cool. Well, it's amazing the Croatian community, how it really it's a ripple effect, just people will tell me that, or like a lot of people were in Vegas when I sang with Oliver.
Hmm.
Um, at the Pearl Casino. Like it's amazing how yeah, the Croatians talk, the community is strong.
Yes, yes, we're very well connected with each other. Well, can you talk a little about that, about, your Croatian background and your heritage?
Yeah. My goodness, it really has so much to do with who I am and my work ethic and where I come from and my faith and family and my love for food and mastacholi and everything. My grandparents were actually the first couple to be married at St. Anthony's Catholic Church. And my grandpa's father came to the States. He had no shoes on his feet, just like totally the American dream story. He was a miner. He worked as a miner and then ended up in California, had my grandpa, and my grandpa met my grandmother at a Croatian picnic. And it's a cute story. I mean, he was kind of a bachelor, an older bachelor at the time. It was really rare for a man to not be married, in his late 30s. So he was in his late 30s. They got married. He sold her car, which was their only car, and he bought a tractor. And it was like the first tractor in the area. So he started a farm, Boskovich Farms. And my dad helped, grow the business with my uncle and their cousin. And they grow, lots of gosh, I think like over 50 vegetables. And so, it just taught me a lot. Like my grandpa worked till he was 93. He was still farming 3 days a week till he was 93 years old. And just was so proud to be Croatian and so proud of his heritage. And I think it had so much to do with how he lived his life, and his work ethic, his appreciation, for things. And especially after watching his family during the war and what they went through, just like I think he was able to go back and to help them. And the church that they had turned into a bomb shelter, he was able to help restore to be a church again. So we got to go there and visit them. And they had this, food laid out for us and a whole procession and sang. And it was the only time I've ever seen him cry, like literally just cry, because I could tell how much it meant to him. And so I've always been proud to be Croatian, and I love that I have so much Croatian support from that community. It's like we're small but mighty. We are like not the biggest country, but like we are, fierce people for sure. And
Yes,
so,
definitely. Yeah, and
yeah,
well connected. Like we said, everyone knows each other. If you mention a last name, like, oh yeah, they're from the village over. Like always, they always somehow know each other or know of each other.
it's true. And it's all
Uh,
village, which is different to other countries because it's like, oh yeah, they're from that city. And in Croatia, it's like, no, it's a village. Let's get it that village.
yeah, yeah. What part was your grandfather from, or your family side from?
My grandfather's from Cernici, which like you probably haven't even heard of. Most
No.
people, yeah, it's outside of I think Stolic. It's in Bosnia Herzegovina. My grandmother's family is from Dubrovnik,
Hmm.
so
Have you
she,
been there?
oh, of course, you just, I mean, now that it's Game of Thrones, it's more popular than it used to be. But been to both places, and it's just beautiful. I appreciate that it feels like you kind of step back in time, and you go to like a more simple time and just walking past the butcher and the bakery and fresh bread and it's fresh fish and cobblestone streets and, people playing music in the street. It's just, it's special. It still feels like it's not overdeveloped like
Mhm.
other areas of Europe or the world. And so I love it there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, coming from the US especially, it's definitely a nice change of pace, at least for me. Um, Annie, I want to ask a little about your, musical career. When did you first start, realizing that you had this sort of talent? I mean, you play guitar as well, you sing. Did you first start learning guitar, or did you could sing from when you were a kid? How did that start?
My gosh, it's people always ask this. It's like, well, where did it come from? Which parent, and I honestly don't know because my family really wasn't very musical, other than my little brother and I sang together. But when I was a baby, my mom said I was singing in my crib. She said you'd literally be in your crib and you were just like wah, 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 like always singing, always making noises. And then when I was 5, I fell in love with the Wizard of Oz, Over the Rainbow. And so I sang that at my great grandmother's funeral. And so I think I don't have footage of it. I would have loved to have seen it. But I think from the response of everyone that was there, it was just sort of like kind of I guess shocked at like, wow, like a 5-year-old kid. I mean, there was a lot of people there if that could come out of their mouth. I don't know. I never actually got to see it. And then I, we had no ties to the entertainment industry really in my family. So I think I didn't know, like, could I do this? I knew I loved it and I did it everywhere, all day, everywhere I could. But it was kind of like, well, how do I make a career doing this? And then I got heard by a guy that worked at Disney and they needed like a young singing voice to do a role in Little Mermaid 2. And so that's kind of like when I sort of thought, okay, maybe this is something that I can really pursue as a career. It was my first time being in a real recording studio and, getting a check. It wasn't really that big. They still send me checks for like 2 cents. And I'm like, didn't it cost all this check? Whatever. But anyways, I'm so grateful for that opportunity because it opened my eyes to, okay, maybe I can really do this. And then I sing everywhere, anywhere I could. I would literally from church events, Croatian picnics to, charity things to funeral football games, whatever, wherever anyone asked, I would sort of the human music box that was just like turn me and then I would pop out and sing wherever I needed to.
And so have you always been sort of a country singer, or was that something that you developed later on in your, well, not career, but I guess later on?
Yeah, I grew up singing everything, but the first singer I ever heard was Patsy Cline. My dad loved Patsy Cline and loves classic country music. So that's the first singer I really ever heard. And I think when I started writing songs, they were country songs. And so I fell in love with Shania Twain. And, my dad raised me on like George Strait, Patsy Cline, Marty Robbins, Jim Reeves, and the Beatles. So I was really raised on country music and the Beatles. And when I wrote songs, they were country. And so I thought, okay, like I think this is what I'm supposed to do. And but I always had an appreciation and love for singing all kinds of music.
Mhm. And now, when you're talking about country, that sounds like you're talking about the old school country, sort of, George Strait, Shania Twain, that sort of stuff. Not so much. I don't know how to describe it, but like the newer country, I'm not a huge country fan, so it's hard for me to talk about it. But like, you know what I mean? The difference between the sort of the older school and the modern country. I can't think of any artists to
Do you
compare
like
that.
any music or no?
Say that again?
Do you like any country music or no?
I like some of the older stuff, yeah, but the newer stuff for me, it's like a little, I don't know how to explain it, but a little different, like more poppy and more, I don't know, there's something in there that it's not my type of country, if that makes sense.
What is the older stuff that you like?
I don't know, like there's a couple George Strait songs that I can't remember off the top of my head, but that stuff is good. Shania Twain has some good songs.
Yeah.
I
Do you
don't
like
know.
the traditional sounding stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Same.
Now, what type of stuff are you singing nowadays? What sort are you writing a lot of your own songs?
I am. And I'd say that my newer stuff actually has more of a classic feel to it than the stuff that I had done historically, and put out. I'd say my newer project right now definitely has a thread of feeling more classic, I'd say, than the older stuff that felt like maybe it was poppier country, you know. And it still has pop sensibility where, you know, I think it's hooky, but I think from a production standpoint, it's not trying to like chase the pop sound.
Mm-hmm. Is
That
this
makes sense.
something you could line dance to? Let's put it that way. Not that I line dance, but
Well, there's probably one song on there, yeah, that would be line danceable. Yeah.
wow. Have you ever line danced before? Are you into that? I'm sure in Nashville they have that, right?
No, not really. I used to line dance in California as a kid, twice a week, borderline. I would go twice a week. That was like it. That was the place to be.
Wow, where was that at?
That was in Ventura County, California.
Mm.
Sadly, it's where they had the shooting. They had a mass shooting there not too long ago, a couple years ago. Really sad. But you know, all country music, and it was like the place to go. We would go line dancing every Wednesday night, summer times, and then they had Sunday night as well. So I grew up doing it there, and oh, I loved it. Loved, yeah. I don't know. There's probably one song on my new project you could line dance to. There's
Yeah.
one, yeah.
I don't know why I asked that. I've never even been. I think maybe one time I went line dancing with a cousin. But yeah, I'm not. I don't know why I asked. It just felt like a
I
kind
think
of.
you would look great with a cowboy hat, and I think you
Yeah.
should dancing. Yeah, I do.
I've always wanted to rock a cowboy hat, but I've never had the confidence.
I think you should just do it. They're very in right now. They're in the Tom Ford ads. Yellowstone. Yellowstone has made cowboy really cool again. So yeah.
That's true. I don't know in Zagreb if that's caught yet, though. I don't know if I would would rock that on the streets of Zagreb right now.
Once Annie Bosko really takes off, you know, I'll make country cool in Zagreb.
That would be
It'll
awesome.
happen.
Are you planning on coming to Croatia, on performing there?
There's nothing in the books right now, but oh my gosh, I'd love to. I hope so. Yeah, it'd be cool too.
Mhm.
I had spoken to, you know, Oliver invited me to come to his island and to do like a show with him. And then so sad that he passed away just a couple years after, or not even after I met him. But I've spoken to a couple promoters about doing a concert in Dubrovnik this
Mhm.
summer. So we love,
Wow, that would be super
yeah.
cool. Well, speaking of
Maybe
Oliver,
put a song out in Croatian first if you have any ideas.
well, that would be really cool. Actually, yeah, I'll shoot a few over to you if you like. I'll have to do some
I can
thinking.
I can sing. Piši, piši mi,
Wow.
da još me joliš ti. Piši, piši mi. I know that one. I know, what else do I know? That's the main one that I know. Yeah, I know Piši mi.
Huh. Yeah, we'll have to get some concert going in Dubrovnik.
Let's do it.
Well, yeah, in the summer, there's no place better than the coast. You mentioned Oliver. You performed with him, what, for one song at one of his concerts? How did that work? How does
I
that?
did. Yeah, it was great. We did crying time actually. Oh, it's crying time again. You're gonna leave me. It's a Hank Williams song. But Ray Charles did it as well. And sorry, does this look okay? I'm trying to find the right place to do this, and I'm the right backdrop, and I'm not okay, there we go. How's that? Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we did that together. And, you know, his music is so beautiful. When you listen to it, you just feel like you're cruising on the Adriatic Sea. And it's like this, it just sort of transports you to another place. And it's just beautiful. So,
And did he reach out to you before the concert, or how did that happen?
yeah, he did. I think they were looking for, you know, a Croatian American artist to open for him. And so that's how it happened. And I
Wow.
was like the only Croatian American artist they could find.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw the video on YouTube, and I also saw you performed with Andrea Bocelli.
Yeah.
That video. How was that?
Wild. It was a wild experience. You know, he walks into the room and you can like feel the vibrational force of Bocelli in the room. He is so sweet and just so calm and, you know, to be around. And he was so welcoming, you know, as a singer. You think at that level, you're like, oh my God, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna be a diva? And just like couldn't have been nicer and just calm, like a really beautiful, calm energy to be around. And just hearing him in person it's surreal. I grew up, my God, that when Time to Say Goodbye came out, the Conte Partito, that song, it was so huge. And I bought the Romanza album that he put out. I listened to it a lot as a kid. And I'd say he was like the first tenor that I really fell in love with. And so to sing with him was definitely like a weird full circle moment. I've had a few of those where you're like, this really happening, and it's surreal. And he was one of them for sure.
That's awesome. Well, it's sort of with a third collaboration here, which is interesting because it's sort of like three different singers, three different styles. You also performed with Adele.
I did. Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
was that? Where was that?
It was incredible. It was in Nashville for the CMT Artist of the Year Awards, which she probably would never do now because she's like a superstar. But at the time, she was still, it was before Rolling in the Deep had really taken off. And actually, the producer I work with now and I write with, Tommy Sims, hired me to do it. He's an MD for a lot of people. He's worked with like Stevie Wonder, Bruce Springsteen, you name it, a lot of people. And so he was called to put together the band for this event. And I had just gotten done touring with some other people, and I got the call to sing with her, and I think they needed someone that had a pretty large range. And so he called me to do it, and we met and I sang for him. And then it's like I spent the whole day with her, and that was surreal. And now she's this global superstar. I mean, who would have thought? You just never know, like you never know when you can just turn around and someone is blown up. It can happen fast.
Are you tired of feeling like a stranger in your own home? Do you long for a sense of belonging and community? Then it's time to consider becoming a citizen of Croatia. With Citizen HR, the Croatian citizenship app, you can make this dream a reality. At Citizen HR, we understand the emotional weight of citizenship. We know it's not just a piece of paper, it's a feeling of belonging to a community, a sense of security, and a connection to your heritage. That's why we've made it our mission to make the process of becoming a Croatian citizen as smooth and stress-free as possible. With Citizen HR, you'll have access to experts who will guide you every step of the way. From filling out forms to answering questions, we'll be there to make sure you have everything you need to apply for your citizenship. One user on the App Store, Kate KC, said, "Easy to use and great selection of experts available," and gave us 5 stars. So, if you're ready to take the next step towards citizenship, and to find a sense of belonging and security in Croatia, download Citizen HR today. Because at Citizen HR, we believe that citizenship is more than just a legal status. It's a feeling of home. So what are you waiting for? Head over to www.citizenhr.app today. Use the code ALLTHINGSCROATIA for 50% off any biography translations you order. Yeah, that's true. I mean, aside from performing with other artists, you've also written songs for other artists, right? I saw that Jessica Simpson, Willie Nelson, Marie Osmond, you've written songs for them. What's your writing process like?
Yeah, it's different for all kinds of things. Like usually a title or a melody will hit me, like an idea, and then I'll take it in and finish it with someone. I could read something that inspires me. I could just have a melody in my head. I could be somewhere and my God, you can look through my iPhone. I probably have 1,000 voice notes of na, 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 na. Wherever I am, I'm like singing my idea into my phone. Happens a lot. So that's usually how it starts. And then I'll develop the idea, and sometimes, I'll write it in like 2 days, and other times it takes 2 years. And it just depends.
And then are you thinking like, oh, this song is perfect for Willie Nelson, or are you writing it sort of, for yourself, a song, and then you realize, this sort of isn't my style, or how does that work?
With that, with the song with Willie, they were looking for a specific kind of song as a duet. And so I came in and we sort of hashed out an idea, and then ran it past the artist. They liked it. So we ended up finishing it with them. And it was sort of project based. So I was sort of, okay, what could we say here that would make sense for these two people? Like, what's a cool lyric that matches them? And then he agreed to sing on it, which of course was another one of those weird moments where you're like, is this really happening? holy shit. I mean, Willie Nelson wrote Crazy, Crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I mean, he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. People don't realize he wrote that song for Patsy Cline, but that was really incredible. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know he wrote that song either. Yeah. I was thinking, I thought, isn't that a woman singing that? I guess that's Patsy Cline, but he wrote that for her.
he did. Yeah, he did.
Well, who are some of your favorite artists to listen to nowadays?
I kind of a couple years ago got burnt out on new stuff. And I was like, I'm going to go back to the people that that inspired me to do music in the first place, and like go back and listen to my heroes. So it's everyone from Sheryl Crow to Patty Griffin to Patsy Cline to Loretta Lynn to Ava Cassidy to Dwight Yoakam, the Mavericks, Vince Gill, George Strait, Garth Brooks, early 90s country, Brooks and Dunn, Aerosmith, like just all this stuff that really made me want to do music. I was like, I need to listen to that again because that always kind of puts the fire back in me to make music.
Aerosmith was interesting. They influenced you as well? Because that's sort of a different style than the other artists you were naming.
Oh no, I definitely went through my rock phase for sure. Yeah. And I just
That's,
think he's one of the greatest singers. I love them. Yeah.
yeah, he's got an incredible range. He hit some
Yeah.
crazy high notes, and he's a great singer. Well, speaking of um, Steven Tyler, because he was, I think, a judge on American Idol at one point.
Yeah, he was.
Sort of speaking about him, you were on American Idol back in the day. How long ago was that? How was that experience? What was it like?
I don't even know, honestly. I'm like, how long ago was that? Uh, it was okay. It was one of those things where I was like, okay, this was supposed to be part of my journey. Did it do anything to help my career? No, it did not. But was it supposed to happen to be part of my journey? Yeah. So I think you kind of realize everything happens for a reason. And
Mhm.
there's lessons that you can grab from.
What lesson did you grab from that experience?
I think to be really clear on like who you are as an artist, you know,
Mhm.
because I think it's hard in a world where people could say, well, you should do this. Well, you should do this. Well, I think you should do this. And it's hard in a world where you're listening and you're absorbing so much music all the time to really kind of tune out the voices and to go inward to say, well, who am I as an artist? So I think that was a turning point for me to get clear on that.
To stay true to yourself. What was the experience like? Is it sort of how you imagine it when it's on TV, or is it like completely?
It feels so surreal. The whole thing felt like like it never even happened. I'm like, did that happen? I just feel like like I don't even remember it happening. It's bizarre.
Just like a dream that snap
It,
your fingers?
it totally did. Yes.
Uh,
Sure.
Interesting. Well, you've had another cool experience in that you performed in some prisons. I don't know if that was something in the past, a one-time thing, or that's something that you are currently doing, but that's a cool Johnny Cash style vibe from that. How did that happen?
It just happened by happenstance. My friend had been doing concerts, or not concerts, but had been doing work with inmates to help. He has an amazing nonprofit called You Inspire. He's a cancer survivor and sort of has dedicated his life just to helping people. And so he asked me to come and visit, and I did. And then he said, I want to do a concert. Would you be willing to do it? And of course. And so I just showed up really for him. And then I fell in love with it. I was like, wow, these people. I mean, I watched like thugs just like cry in front of me, to certain songs. I have a song called Fighter that always emotionally moves people a lot. And so I think to see that really shows you the power of music. And God, the whole Johnny Cash thing. Yeah. And now it's morphed into more where I'd like to do an actual like album that's live from a prison, record it, film it, similar to Johnny Cash. But I can't even say it's something that I sought out because I didn't, it really kind of sought me out. And then I enjoyed it so much that they're like, oh my God, when you come back, they love you. Because I honestly didn't treat them different than I would any other crowd. I was like, I'm having fun with them. Like whether we gotta like get rowdy, like whatever. I'm not gonna tone it down or like not say certain things. I was like, I'm just gonna treat them like I would anywhere else, any other show, any festival. So I did, and they responded, and it just, it showed me the power of music, of what music can do. And that people who are deprived in situations like that, you see how much it can move someone. Like the barometer of moving someone was like, way over here. And that was just so inspiring to watch.
Was that at a women's prison or a men's prison or both?
So I thought I was just doing the women's prison, but then when I showed up, like, no, you're doing the men's too. So then I ended up doing the men's as well. And I did both. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Releasing a full album. That's in the
Like
future
seven
plans for you?
to be a full album, but yeah, I'd like to do 7 songs if I could. Yeah.
That'd be super cool. The one thing I always think of when I think of the Johnny Cash song, what's the song that he did at the prison that they then like overdubbed? Like the prisoners cheering at a part where they didn't, because he said like, which one is it?
Folsom Prison Blues, like down,
Yeah.
down, 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 down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they edited in a bunch of cheering on the part where he says something about killing. I forget what the lyric is. But I always thought that was just the natural reaction of the crowd, but it turns out that they later dubbed that in.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that. Wow. Well, you just taught me something new.
Oh,
I
there we
would
go.
be proud. What's funny is I remember my last time in Croatia, like I heard Johnny Cash everywhere. And you realize, like, oh my God, there's someone who just totally transcended genre, like all over the world you go, people love him.
Yeah, he's an icon everywhere, I guess.
Total icon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a song
and
about my new project. It's called Cash. It's a world full of Johnnies, but there'll never be another Cash.
that's a new project you're working on?
New song, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that line. There's a world full of Johnnies, but there will never be another Cash.
That's it.
Huh, that's pretty cool. That's it. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about your what you're working on right now and your future plans.
Yeah, I'm working on an album, and it's amazing. I went to a few of like my heroes. One actually offered and said I would love to sing and play on it, and it was Vince Gill, and it was a major turning point for me where I thought, okay, holy shit, like now you really got to do this, because I'd never made a full length album. So Vince Gill is singing on it, Dwight Yoakam is singing on it, and Raul Malo, who's the lead singer of a band called the Mavericks that I love. And so yeah, I'm working on finishing those songs now.
Hmm. And then
Yeah.
you plan to go on tour with those?
Yeah, I'll plan on playing shows later this spring and this summer. Yes.
And hopefully Dubrovnik this summer also.
I know. I know. We got to make that happen. In fact, I will reach out to my family friend who was trying to put that together. And you have to give me ideas of songs I should put out in Croatian to expand my Croatian fan base.
I'll try, yeah. I'll try to come up with some lyrics. I think I got one half song that I was working on in Croatian. Maybe I can send that over to you and finish it.
Or a cover of a famous song.
Ah,
Let me know.
okay. I'll have to do some thinking.
Songs. I sang with him. That'd be cool.
With who?
Oliver.
Yeah, that would be a great cover to do.
Yeah, one of his
His
songs.
songs. Yeah, all of his songs are just so smooth they sound. I don't know. That's like the only word I can think of that best describes it, but he's such a smooth singer.
They are like the Adriatic Sea.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Annie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I just got 2 more quick questions for you before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
This one is, when you're in Croatia, what is your favorite food to eat?
Mm. Honestly, the fish. The fish, it just is so fresh with, all they put is garlic, lemon, olive oil on top, and oh, it's delicious. And of course, cevapcici, wherever I have an opportunity to eat cevapcici. I love cevapcici.
Yes. Is there any over there in Nashville? Is there a Croatian community over there?
No, but I couldn't believe it. One time I was playing a show in Joliet. Where was it? Illinois. It was outside of Chicago, Joliet. I'm on stage doing a sound check and I see a Cevapcici tent. And I'm like, got to be kidding me. I like got done sound checking and I ran over and I was like, who are you? And how do you make he's Croatian? There's a large Croatian population in Chicago. And so we got to talking and I had like 10 Cevapcici.
Right before the show?
Yeah, maybe afterwards. Yeah.
Probably a probably a good idea to have it after.
Yeah. It was
Uh,
good.
One, I might make this a two-part question. I'll make it a two-part question. If you could
Hmm.
perform with any musician, band, or singer right now, who would it be that you haven't performed with yet? Or dream collaboration? Maybe that's an easier way to say it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, I stumped you with this one.
You did.
Okay, I'll give you a different one then, unless you want to think this one out.
Let me think about that one because I'm not sure. There's so many people. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say Shania just because Dolly Parton, probably Dolly Parton or Shania Twain, just because I
Okay.
love so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those are two legendary artists. This is sort of on the same vein, but the classic, if you could go back in time, well, if you could see any band in concert, past or present, who would
The
it be?
Beatles,
Really? Oh yeah, you
without a
said
doubt.
you grew up listening to the Beatles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like when they were just taking off, like if I could have been, oh, would have loved to have seen that.
yeah, imagine that with everyone, all the girls going crazy for them. I don't know how many thousands of people they packed in their glory days, but
Yeah. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Annie, I want to thank you again so much for coming on the All Things Croatia podcast here. Where can people find, your music? Do you have a website that they can check out? Shout out your socials if you want.
Yeah, my website is www.anniebosco.com. And my music is on Spotify, I'm on everything, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. I'm on all of them.
Okay,
So
awesome. I'll drop links so people can check that out in the description. But Annie, thank you again so much for coming on the podcast. It was really awesome to talk with you.
so much. I appreciate it. Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you.
thank you
Follow,
very
follow